Hey, what's going on? So today I'm going to be building my very own video editing PC desktop computer. I've never done this before, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I get it all done and it works, right? I am going to be following along with Justin Roby of Roby Tech. He's got a great video. It came out in February. It's already got over 1 million views. So I'll put a link for his video down in the description. Check that out. So I did a video unboxing all of this stuff. So this is like the follow-up to that where I'm actually going to build this. Now the video that I did before, there's a pile over here that has the monitors, the keyboard, the speakers, the mouse, the Bluetooth stuff, like all the other accessory things that attach to this thing. But for today, I'm just going to be building this. So very quickly, I will run down each part and what it costs and what this whole system cost me to do. And then I'm going to jump right into building this thing. There's links again in the description for all of this stuff, so you can check all of it out for yourself. So I'm going to go right down my list. I've got the Fractal Meshify C case with a solid panel. You can get this with the glass panel, but I went with the solid panel. That was $93.98. Then the crucial 2 terabyte right here, the solid state drive with the M.2 plug-in. That was $224.95. The gigabyte GeForce RTX 2060, this is the graphics card. That was $319.99. All the way over on the right here, the AMD Ryzen 9. That is the 3900X. It is a 12-core, 24-thread unlocked desktop processor with Wraith Prism LED cooler. That puppy is $429.99. Then right dead center here, we get the G.skill Ripjaws V-Series, the DDR4 hookup. There are 2 16 gigabyte sticks, so this will have 32 gigabytes of RAM. That cost $114.99. The ASRock B450M Pro 4 motherboard. This was only $82.99. This is actually the cheapest thing in the box. And then last but not least, to power this whole thing is the Thermaltake Tough Power 750 watt 80 plus gold semi-modular power supply. So everywhere that I've read so far, everybody says the same thing. All you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, preferably with a magnetic tip. This one I don't think has a magnetic tip, so if I need one, I have like an extension for my drill that's magnetic, and I can just use one of those tips inside of this. Now Justin said to get some zip ties, and this will be for cable management, and then the end nippers here are just to clip off the zip ties once they're in. And the knife is just to open up any packages or whatever that I might need it for. All right, let's make some room here. All right, here we go. Let's start with the motherboard. So we got a tiny little screw, another tiny little screw, little thing here, set that aside, cable, the booklet, and a DVD, I guess. This is like the plate for the thing. And then there's that puppy. Get rid of that. Now he doesn't say to do it on this, and actually it came with, there's a little foam pad that it was on. I'm just gonna do that so it's not right on this table. Just because I'm weird like that. Everywhere I've seen, the first thing you do is, this thing is gonna be where the little guy goes. So I guess that's gonna be the next step, right? Let's check. Okay, so the next thing he says to do is we're gonna open up the processor here. So I've got my knife. I thought I would need that. And just very carefully cut through that. There we go. And that should open up. And here it is. So everywhere that I've seen, they talk about not touching the face or the pins. You want to just grab this thing by the ends. And let me see what else is in this box. And we've got the cooler. So we've got the thing, and the other thing, and the stuff. And also it came with, important, please read, certificate of authenticity. I don't think we need that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pop this open. And very carefully grab that thing. Slide this out of the way. Slide this back in here. And let's see here. There's a tiny little arrow right there. And there's a tiny little arrow right there. So we have to lift this little lever, push it over to the side, lift it up, and then set this thing in like that. It drops right in. And then I'm gonna drop this lever back down. That's it, that's locked in now. On the bottom side here, there is a couple cables for this. And it looks like they give you a little sticker to stick on your computer if you want to show off to your friends. Okay, now because I'm using AMD with AMD, these brackets are already set up for this. Now, in videos that I've seen, the guy, like in this one, he has to change out these brackets because he's using some different thing. So this works with this thing. I don't have to worry about it. Basically, it looks like there's this little lever here, like this little tab's gonna get latched onto this guy, like that, boom, and I'm gonna lock that. And there's another one over here, and when I pull that lever, it'll pull these both up. And right here, in tiny little letters, it says CPU fan. So this wire is gonna get plugged into those 4 pins right there. Basically, I just set this thing down on there, like I said, and these little tabs lock on, and that's it. That's the whole installation, and plug it in. So on the bottom of this thing, I'm assuming that's the like thermal paste. So like on the video that I'm watching, you have to add thermal paste. And Andrew, who helped me build this, said that this specific thing already has thermal paste on it. You do not need extra thermal paste. So we're gonna give it a try and see what happens. And I don't know if it has to go this way or this way. That could work. That could also work. Actually, the wire seems to be better that way. Well, let's give this a try. There we go. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, those are on. I can feel that thermal paste on there, like sticking in there. And then we're just gonna tighten that down, I guess, until it locks in. Okay, it's pretty locked in there. And then this wire here gets plugged in right on this guy that I showed you earlier. Maybe this way. There we go. Boom. Okay, so this is not very straightforward. You can actually, with this thing, there's a couple ports right here. You can see them. And you can, these other 2 cables are for hooking up the RGB lights and hooking it up to USB so you can do stuff to it from your computer. It's optional though. It says right in the book that that's optional. I don't want lights and I don't see a need to hook it up to my computer. I will save the cords, but I'm not going to use them right now. So according to Justin, I should have put the RAM in before the CPU cooler. The instructions are a little difficult to figure out, but basically it looks like in all 3 of these, if you're using 2 different types, that it falls into the A2, B2. looks like A2 is the main one and B2 is the secondary. And then if you get down into the like installing 4 of a kind thing, then you put them in all 4. So my guess is A2 and B2 is what that means. Not very clear instructions. And Justin actually, when he did his, just based on the configuration of where these slots are, he had them in the same, it was not the one closest to the fan, it was the one next out, and then skip one. And based on mine, it says it in very tiny letters down inside there. You probably cannot see that in the camera, but A2 is there and B2 is there. There's a tab you gotta open up. There's nothing on this side to open. Let's pop this baby open. The rip jaws. All right, and there's a little tab right there that has to fit in, and it only goes one way. So basically I just line it up. I can tell that this is the way that it has to go. Slide it in, push it down. He said it'll click. Yep, there's the click, and then it's shut right there, so we're good. And let's do the same thing here. So you can see it at home, folks. I'm gonna push that in. Got a little fuzz on there. All right, that's it. Okay, so now that we've got those installed, next thing I'm gonna be doing is the M.2 solid state drive. Let's open this up. Okay, so this guy, all right, and he didn't say not to touch any pins, but I'm gonna really try not to touch anything pinny or electronic-y. So the shape of this thing, these pins are gonna go into this little slot here, right there. And then this little hook is gonna go onto that guy. Now in the video that he did, he had to install this little guy thing that catches the screw. In our case, I don't know why this is different, but it's different. So basically, this is just gonna go in here like this. Like that, and it's in, it kind of like snapped in, and he said it'll be like a diving board. That's the picture you see him doing there, is the diving board action. So it's in, and then that screw hole will line up. And my assumption is I'm using the screw that came with the motherboard to hold that on, because there's no other screws anywhere that came with anything, including the hard drive. So we'll give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll have to figure something else out. And it's actually gonna need a number 1 bit, not a number 2. Hopefully number 1 is even small enough. Yeah. So let's push that down. Put the screw there. Can't get it to let go of my finger. All right, I am gonna need a magnetic thing. Okay, so I've got a magnetic bit here. There we go, much easier. Magnetic tip. And then I'm just gonna set that in there. Screw that puppy on. And I don't want to screw it too tight, I don't think. I guess just like that. I don't want to make it too tight and strip it out. Okay, so now my hard drive is installed. Hey, if you're getting anything of value out of this right now, go down below, hit that little thumbs up button, and leave me a comment, let me know what you think of this. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more tech videos and other stuff of how I'm trying to grow this channel in my life. All right, back to the video. All right, so now I'm ready to put the motherboard inside of the case. So the first thing he says to do, you can see on the screen, he's removing the screws on the back here to take off the side panel. And they're a little tight. Just give them a loose in her upper, and then they should come right out. Oh, and they don't actually come out, they stay in there. That's pretty neat. So let's pull off this panel here. All right, so now that I've got the panel off, it looks pretty sweet in there. I guess I gotta go back to the video. Okay, so then actually there's another panel on the other side he wants me to take off. So same thing, we're gonna loosen these and that panel should come right off. Boom. And inside there's a little box in there. He said there was gonna be, and there sure is. I can't get it out though. I have to do one of these. Yep. So this is supposed to have all the parts that I'm gonna need to put this all together. So let's see what's in it. Oh, that's a lot of parts. Okay. Get some screws. Oh, it gave me some zip ties and some more screws. Some more screws. Some more screws. And then like some little standoffy screwy jobbers. All right. I'm getting a little nervous, are you? All right, let's see what he says next. All right, so the next thing he said to do, that panel that I just took off was on this back side here, and I'm just gonna lay it down flat. And so now there's another interior panel that's on the bottom there. All right, and the next thing we're gonna do is open up this little guy, and we're gonna get ready to stick that in. So you can see it says like all the stuff, USB, HDMI, blah, blah, blah. And he said that the 3 dots go down, basically. And I just want to double check by looking at my actual motherboard. Yes. So we can see there that these 3 dots are going to line up like that. So that is the way we want this to be. And obviously you want to make sure that you have it so the writing is on the outside. So that's going to go into this slot over here, hopefully pretty easily. This is very flimsy, so you want to be careful, but he said it'll just like kind of snap in. I'm just afraid to give it too much pressure. Yeah, okay. You just got to be careful. Give it a little pressure, work your way all the way around it, and it does snap right in. Okay, so that's installed. All right, so the next thing, I've got to install all the standoffs. Now, on the one he's using, the standoffs were already installed. So this is a little bit different with the Fractal Meshify. And basically, there's one of these ones. Let's see here. That must be that black one right there. Oh, that's just like a, I gotcha. That's like a bit. So basically this is like a little screw tip that fits on these. Got it? So now I can screw those in with a screwdriver. Now I've got to figure out all the holes that these need to go in. Basically it looks like the one closest to the corner there, the one in between them and that corner, the one straight off from there, the one straight in that corner, and one there. Corner right in the middle of that little guy, and then right on the side middle of that little guy in that corner. So let me do all that. Okie dokie, let's tighten them up. There we go, they're all pretty snug. Now, this center one was already in here. There's a black one in there without a screw, so it's just like a post. So I'm not worried about that. All right, so the next thing, I gotta set the motherboard in the box. So just wanna be careful, of course. And there is that wire in the way. Let me undo that little thing here, get this out of the way. And if I do that, I can pull it up out of the way. And we're just gonna line up these holes right there. Like that, perfect. So now all these are all lined up. Actually, these bottom ones don't even land on anything. These don't do anything. I guess this could handle a bigger motherboard. Okay, so I just saw that that hole and that hole line up with this particular motherboard. So I'm gonna pull these two screws and put them there. I would just feel better knowing that they were all attached right. Boom. Yeah, now those are lined up too. This one's floating, but there's no screw hole under that. Okay, now I'm just gonna screw it in with these screws that comes with it. And I'm gonna use this little magnetic bit I got just to get them in there. All right, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna pull this one back out since we're not using that. Cool. All right, so basically his directions are a little different than the directions in the book and the order of things. The book was saying to install the power supply before doing that. I don't think it really matters. You just install them, and then when they're installed, you hook them up. So let's see what he says next. Okay, so I've stood it back up. On this case in particular, there's all these wires here, and they're all bundled up. We're gonna take that strap off, and then they're gonna have to go in through these little rubber flaps here, and these are gonna connect to the motherboard. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Now I looked at where this was on the motherboard before I flipped it over, and this one in particular, I think I want to come out right there because that hooks up to the USB right there. So I'm gonna have that come out and plug straight in like that. Alrighty. Alrighty, I had a tough time doing this with the camera. So basically this fan is plugged in right here. And then the, what's it called? HD audio is plugged in right here. And then there's all these little plugs right here. And to figure all that out, in the book for the motherboard, there is a diagram that shows which plugs go where. Okay, next up is the PSU power supply unit. And let's open this up. So we got, oh, some more zip ties, some screws, power supply. Then on this one, we have the unit itself, 750 watts. And what is in this little bag? Oh, a whole bunch of cables. All right, and from what Justin was saying in the video was that it comes with a lot more cables than you might need, but it comes with everything that would be able to hook up to this. So now is going to be trying to figure out what I actually need out of this. So back to my directions for the motherboard here. All right, let's look at these little booklets here. Warranty, don't need that right now. It smells like a new pair of shoes. It's all one thing, just in a billion different languages. Okay, so this is all we need here. If your motherboard requires a 24-pin main power connector, please connect the 24-pin main power connector to the motherboard. If your motherboard only requires a 20-pin main power connector, please detach the 4-pin connector from the 20-pin main power connector, then connect only the 20-pin connector to the motherboard. I don't know which thing that is. This looks like 20 pins right there, maybe. Is that 20? These don't look like 20. This is confusing all of a sudden with all these wires. Okay, let's see where the motherboard power supply is. Come on there, little guy. Pull that off. Let's see what we're working with here. All right, so this is the 24-pin connector here, and the motherboard, according to the book, takes a 24-pin power supply. That is right there. This is all very confusing because they don't use words. They use a couple pictures and they expect that you know exactly how this works. So what I'm thinking is I use this 24-pin connector here to connect it, and then it needs an 8-pin connector, and there's one here. There's also these other things, but I'm not sure that I need these other things because this is an 8-pin. There's actually two 8-pins, so there's like a jumper here. So I don't think I need these and then not use this. If this is available, this would be the one that I think I would need. And then the graphics card looks like it's gonna need one too. So graphics card gets a 6-pin, but I haven't gotten to the graphics card yet. So this is all so very confusing for me. Let's pop open this graphics card here. Get this bugger out. Again, a tiny little picture. Where's Anglais? English. Wow, look at that thing. So right here is where that hooks up. And that has a 8-pin connector right here, which when I look at this on the back, the red one is an 8-pin and it says PCIe connector. So we will use one of these guys right here. This one is an 8-pin to 8-pin and it's got like a splitter, but I don't need that. I think I'm gonna just use this one, which is 8-pin to 8-pin. Oh, that's got a splitter too. I guess that's all we got then. I guess it's 8-pin to 8-pin with a splitter guy. So I'll plug that into one of them. Okay, so this particular case works different than the one he's working on. He slides it in through the side, and on this case, I actually have to pull this bracket off. And then this is going to slide in there. So I'm gonna feed the wires in. Perfect. And then I'll put this back on. And then there's a bag of screws here that came with it. So I'm gonna put those 4 screws right in that bracket. Now I've got all those cables running right here. So let's just flatten them out a little bit. Alrighty. Okay, so first one, I'm gonna take this big guy right here and it's getting plugged in right about here. So I'm gonna go in that, and then it looks like it gets clipped in with the clip on this side. So I just wanna make sure I'm running my cables so that it makes sense where it comes out. So push that through, and then right here, there we go. All right, there we go. And then these will get all Velcroed into here. We'll make that look nice. All right, now I've got this other one that's hardwired in that says CPU. That one's gonna go in too. And this one's gonna be going all the way up top, if it's long enough. Now this one's gonna get plugged in right here. And this first cable is not quite long enough to do this easily, so there is like this splitter on it. So I'm actually going to flip this around here and do it like this. There we go. I just wish there was like a cap or something for that. I don't know why that bothers me. Now I do have this little thing in the way, so I want to do something with this to get it kind of tucked up out of the way, because the next thing that's going to go in is my graphics card. right here. So this wire's kind of in the way. So let's see here if I can get this back out. And it was looped up already like that. Had I known that's where it was getting plugged in, I would have left it. But I didn't. All right, I'm gonna use one of these little zip ties that came in one of these bags to just control that thing a little bit. And plug that back in. Okay. And let me snip this off. Alrighty. Looks good. I'm going to push the power supply for the graphics card in next. Okie dokie. So next, this graphics card is going to go in right there. So I have to remove the, see it can't fit in, so I got to remove the tray that's in the way there. I don't know which tray it is. It feels loose. I guess I got to loosen up these screws. See how this works here. That's that one. Come right off. How do I do this? All right. So now that's out of the way. These just flop around in there? Okay. All right, so we're gonna push that tab back. Get this thing right in there, line up all the little things. Oh, I gotta remove this screw too. Just kind of give it a wiggle back and forth. I think that's in right there. And then somehow I gotta flip this back up, right? Oh, it automatically latched itself. All right, perfect. Let me put these two screws back in. Make sure these are all tight while I'm in here. And then the power gets hooked up. So I could either use this or the second jumper. This one looks like it'll reach. So these kind of like just fit onto each other like that. And let's see here. Looks like I gotta flip it the other way because it clips on the top. So like this. And let's see here, click it in. Boom. All right, and then this one's just extra, so we'll probably strap that onto there like this. Okay, I believe that's everything for this. And then I've got these ports right here for the HDMI and display port. So it looks like DisplayPort, HDMI, DisplayPort, HDMI. I'll leave those right in there until I'm ready to plug it in. My monitors came with 2 DisplayPort inputs, so although those look different, don't they? We'll see. There's also the ones up here. We'll figure it out. And then of course the power cable plugs in there. Boom. Power cable, I don't need that right now. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is just kind of tidy up these cords here. Which doesn't seem, I don't know if I'm gonna get those in there. Yeah, like that. Not quite those ones though. And then I'm gonna put this back panel back on. Because I hope I'm done with that. Okay, so the last thing to do, I've got the power cord, plugged it in the back. and I plugged it into the wall. I'm just gonna flip the switch and then turn the power button on. There we go. All right. So it's all working, I guess. It's super sweet. Oh yeah, all 3 fans are spinning. Air's going through. I can feel it really on my face. All right, so that's it. It's all fired up. Looks like it's running good. Now I just gotta hook up the monitor and the keyboard and all that stuff and plug in Windows and get this thing up and running. But I'm gonna do that in a follow-up video. So if you wanna see that, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I come out with new videos. This channel is dedicated to like leveling up your life. I started this channel without any idea of what it was going to be. I still don't really have a clear direction, but I have wound up doing a bunch of these tech videos as I've been building up my tech stuff. I go over everything that I use to do this channel. So the camera, I'm actually recording on a brand new camera. This is the first video I've recorded on it. This is a Canon M50. And you know, I've done videos on this wireless system and my GoPro and some other stuff. So I do some tech videos now that I think of it. Okay. Beginner tech. You know, this is like, I don't know anything and I'm starting a YouTube channel and I don't know anything. So I'm, you know, passing on my learning experience to everybody else. Let me know what you think of this video. Of course, I didn't do it perfectly. And I did think it was interesting that the instructions for the case, the motherboard, the instructions that I watched with Justin, everything was different. So it's not necessarily like there's one way to install one thing and then the other. You just obviously have to do it with some logical sense. So it doesn't really matter if you put the motherboard in and then that in after, whatever. It's easier to put this in last for sure. The motherboard has to go in before that goes in. But as far as I put the cooler on before the other thing and he did it the other way and whatever. He put the battery in first or second and the other person said to put it in after. And so it doesn't really matter in that regard. As you can see here, I've never built a computer before and I was able to handle this. It took me longer than it would probably take you because I was recording and doing stuff in the middle, but I don't know, it probably took me a couple hours maybe. I bet you could be done in 2 hours if it's your first time, if that's all you were focused on. So if you got something out of this, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I already said that, but do it anyway. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you like any of these parts or you're thinking about building a PC or anything like that. And again, I'll have links for the video that I watched to help me do this, as well as my buddy Andrew from Byte Services who helped me design this computer. So, all right, see you on the next video. Bye.